A man and 14-year-old boy were killed and dozens wounded by Israeli forces during fresh clashes at the Israel-Gaza border. This took the death toll to 154 since the demonstrations launched on March 30th to demand rights to land lost to Israel in the 1948 war. The Israeli military claims that the troops had to open fire to contain thousands of Palestinians, some of whom threw rocks and rolled burning tires at the border fence. Israeli police reopened Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque after it was closed in response to clashes that erupted earlier between security forces and Muslim worshippers in the day. Officers entered the third holiest shrine in Islam and carried out arrests in what police described as a pursuit of youth who had thrown rocks and fireworks during the clashes. The Syrian Information Ministry organized a trip to the largely ruined city of Quneitra, where Western and Arab media reporters covered the aftermath of the fighting and the advance of Syrian army. Pro-Assad forces raised the national flag over the city on Thursday after it was regained from surrendering rebels, a sign that the government continues to tighten its hold on the Syrian sector of the Golan Heights. Druze in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights held a rally in solidarity with their community in Syria after the killing of dozens of Druze by the Islamic State in Syria on Wednesday. Participants waved Syrian and Druze flags as they chanted while walking through the streets of Bukata town. Syria's government-held city of Sweda buried dozens of its inhabitants who were killed the day before in coordinated assaults by its militants. Thousands took to the streets across Iraq to protest against the lack of proper government services and jobs. In Basra, the main southern oil hub city at the edge of the Gulf, about 2,000 people gathered outside the headquarters of the provincial governorate. Protests were also held in the southern cities of Amara and Nasiriyah. Demonstrations over the same issues have occurred in the past, but the recent unrest has been more widespread. Iraq's top Shiite cleric Grand Ayatollah Ali al-Sistani called for a government to be formed as soon as possible to tackle corruption and poor basic services. Sistani's message also encouraged that incumbent government of Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi to respond urgently to protesters' demands seeking better basic services and jobs. European Union monitoring team said campaign for Pakistan's general elections this week featured lack of equality, which meant it was not a level playing field for all parties. Pakistan's former ruling party conceded that the country's disputed election to cricket star turned politician Khan, paving way for Khan to begin searching for coalition partners. A group of Pakistani political parties with tens of thousands of supporters threatened nationwide street protests unless the country's disputed election was rerun. At the All Parties Conference, President of Muttahida Majlis-e-Amal, Maulana Fazl-ul-Rahman, said they rejected the election and would start a movement to demand a re-election. US President Donald Trump said he did not know about the 2016 meeting held at Trump Tower, where a group of Russians offered to provide damaging information about Democratic rival Hillary Clinton. Trump made the claim in a Twitter post after TV reports cited his longtime lawyer Michael Cohen as saying Trump had known about the meeting in advance. Russian President Vladimir Putin said that he had invited Donald Trump to Moscow and that both he and the US President want further summits, this despite the uproar in Washington after the two leaders met in Helsinki last week, following the backlash in the United States over Trump's cordial public tone with Putin at the Helsinki summit. US and Russian officials backed away from a proposal to schedule a follow-up summit in Washington, but speaking to reporters in South Africa, Putin said another meeting with Trump was still on the agenda. Russian President Vladimir Putin said that Russia had no plans to reject the US dollar, even though Washington has undermined trust in its currency by using it as an argument in political disputes. Putin addressed the questions on the dollar days after data showed Russia has ditched its holdings of US treasuries in the past few months amid worsening relations with Washington. North Korea transferred 55 small flag-draped cases carrying the suspected remains of US soldiers killed in the Korean War on Friday. The repatriation of the remains missing in the 1950-53 conflict is seen as a modest diplomatic coup for US President Donald Trump, as it was one of the agreements reached during his meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in Singapore. US President Donald Trump thanked Kim for fulfilling the agreement to return the remains. US President Donald Trump said the economy is growing at a faster pace as unemployment levels and the trade deficit are falling. Trump's speech came after the Commerce Department released data showing the US economy grew at its fastest pace in nearly 4 years, but came in below high expectations for the number. US President Donald Trump has headed to New Jersey along with First Lady Melania Trump. Trump did not respond to reporters who shouted questions about his former lawyer, Michael Cohen. Trump on Friday denied knowing about the 2016 meeting his son Donald Trump Jr. and other campaign staff held at Trump Tower with a group of Russians who offered damaging information about Democratic rival Hillary Clinton. Dozens of demonstrators interrupted a speech by former US President Bill Clinton at the International AIDS Conference in Amsterdam to call for the repeal of sex trafficking laws passed by the US Senate in March. Invited as the founder of the charitable Clinton Foundation, Clinton was delivering a keynote address. Protesters called on Clinton to use his influence to help the US pull out of the two anti-sex trafficking laws known as SESTA and FOSTA, aimed at penalizing website operators that facilitate online sex trafficking. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi urged BRICS nations to invest in the areas of digital infrastructure and skilled workforce in order to handle the changes to be brought in by automation, artificial intelligence and big data analytics. Modi was addressing the African Outreach Summit along with other leaders of BRICS nations on the last day of the three-day BRICS Summit. French President Emmanuel Macron, Portuguese Prime Minister Antonio Costa and Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez met in Lisbon in a summit aimed at strengthening their regional cooperation to better integrate the Iberian Peninsula into the energy market. The European Commission, which is also present at the meeting, said in a statement that summit participants are expected to sign the biggest EU financial assistance to the power line of the Biscay Bay, which will double the interconnectivity capacity between France and Spain. French President Emmanuel Macron said that the upcoming European election in May 2019 would be crucial to the future of Europe. Macron's comments came at a town hall meeting on European challenges in Lisbon, where he and Portuguese Prime Minister Antonio Costa answered questions from the audience. The leaders also answered questions on migration policy and security, highlighting the importance of European cooperation on those matters. Agricultural ministers and other representatives of G20 nations were in Buenos Aires to address sustainable food management practices. The 2018 G20 presidency is held by Argentina, and the South American country has emphasized agricultural issues, in particular soil management, under its leadership. Argentina hopes a joint declaration recognizing the challenges of feeding the world's people sustainably will be issued at the conclusion of the ministerials. Austrian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz said that it was important to avoid a hard or disorderly Brexit, but negotiations about Britain's exit from the European Union were going quite well. The Kurz, standing next to British Prime Minister Theresa May in Salzburg, said he hoped Austria and the EU were able to maintain strong ties with Britain after it left the bloc. British Prime Minister Theresa May joined Australian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz for an evening of Mozart in Salzburg after difficult talks on Brexit with his Australian and Czech counterparts. The leaders and their partners, Philip May and Suzanne, and they attended a performance of the Magic Flute after a day in which May and Kurz said that although they were of differing opinions on Britain's exit from the EU, talks were going quite well. As Mali is headed to polls this Sunday, the United Nations mission chief said that whoever wins polls will have to urgently address growing ethnic violence in its central region. The backdrop to the poll is the worst insecurity since a Tuareg rebellion which was hijacked by Islamists in 2012, forcing France to intervene a year later to push them back. Jihadists have made near daily attacks against UN peacekeeper and Malian troops around cities like Timbuktu in the desert north. The parents of an Egyptian photojournalist whose case has been highlighted by UNESCO said they hope their son will be cleared when his trial ends on Saturday, but fear he could be convicted on terrorism charges. Mahmoud Abu Zaid, also known as Shokhan, was detained in 2013 when taking pictures of security forces dispersing an anti-government sit-in in which hundreds of loyalists of ousted President Mohamed Morsi and several police officers were killed. Shares of US television network CBS Corp tumbled 86.3% to $53.88 on Friday after the Hollywood Reporter said that the New Yorker magazine would soon publish a claim that CBS Chief Executive Officer Les Moonves has been accused of sexual harassment. The allegations involved incidents that go back more than 20 years. The Hollywood Reporter said, citing sources with knowledge of the matter who did not identify. Hindu devotees decorated a temple of Hindu goddess Amman in southern India's Coimbatore city with 2,000 kilograms of fruits from mangoes, pineapples, pears, bananas and a lot more. In a total of 27 varieties of fruits were seen hanging, sticking to the walls and adorning the idols of the temple as garlands as devotees queued up at the Mahali Amman temple during the Tamilian month of Adi. The month is believed to be auspicious for Hindus. Truck operators in northern India held a protest against rising fuel prices and other long-pending demands. Protesters lament that the government was paying no attention to the woes of the truckers. The truck operators want fuel to be bought under the Goods and Services Tax and are also calling for a reduction in toll prices. A truck driver complained that the protest has affected their regular trade. Heavy rains battered northern Colombia's city San Gil, leaving one person dead and over 19 others injured. Incessant downpour led to the overflowing of rivers and streams, causing a wall at the town stadium to collapse. River Forns was in full spate, causing additional injuries and damage to at least 51 houses. Heavy rains coupled with thunderstorms struck northern England on Thursday, breaking up the ongoing heat wave. An eyewitness video showed a flooded street in the town of Thorne in Doncaster Borough, with the people running away from pouring rain and strong winds. Greece Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras took political responsibility for a wildfire that killed at least 87 people and led to opposition accusations that the government failed to protect lives. Tsipras' opponents accused the government of failing to apologize for the disaster, seeking to deflect public anger. Tsipras told ministers he was conflicted over whether the authorities had done everything right in response to the disaster. A fast-growing Northern California wildfire killed the second firefighter as high winds drove it towards the city of Redding, prompting mass evacuations and threatening some 5,000 homes and businesses. State fire officials informed that the Shasta County Carr fire grew by about 60% overnight, scorching 45,450 acres. A curtain of smoke and flames loomed over low-slung buildings in Redding, which is home to 90,000 people. The fast-moving Carr fire in Northern California moved fast from the communities of Whiskey Town and Shasta, threatening hundreds of homes on west side of the city of Redding. Video footage and images posted on social media showed flames engulfing structures as an orange glow lit up the sky. Two Persian leopards were released into the wild in Russia's Caucasus region of North Ossetia in an attempt to reintroduce the endangered species in their historical habitat. According to the WWF, the leopards, a female named Volna and a male named Elbrus, became the latest big cats to be released in the region where leopards are considered to be the national symbol. The Persian leopards were believed extinct in North Ossetia, but a recent CCTV camera footage from the local hydroelectric power station showed leopards that appeared to have crossed from the South Caucasus. A man landed a small plane on a lakeshore drive in Chicago, bringing traffic to a standstill. Local media reported the pilot was forced to make the landing after experiencing some type of mechanical issue. Both the pilot and his female passenger were uninjured. Authorities were seen physically pulling the small aircraft off the major thoroughfare. Eyewitness video showed an electric transformer in the Paris suburb of Issy-les-Monnelieu. Flames and dark clouds of thick smoke rising over state-owned electricity from EDF's facility were filmed by several witnesses in the commercial area. Local media reported employees in a building next door were evacuated and that there were no reports of any injuries. Street or urban fishing, as it is called, has been gaining popularity along Paris's canals and Seine River over the past few years. It has now become an attractive outdoor hobby for those who can't always make it to the countryside, traveling light with just a rod and a box of lures. Street fishermen differ from traditional ones who often carry more equipment and fish in one spot for a longer period of time. An exhibit that sheds new light on the Mayan civilization opened for viewing in Mexico City's Museum of the Main Temple on Thursday. The Red Queen, The Journey to Xilbabal is the name of the temporary exhibit that showcases funerary items from the tomb of Mayan ruler Maya Pakal's wife. A total lunar eclipse rose above the hills near Greece's ancient temple of Poseidon and Cape Sunonin as it turned shades of reddish pink and gold. The moon could be seen above the columns of the monument named after the god of sea. The total eclipse lasted 1 hour 42 minutes and 57 seconds, though a partial eclipse preceded and followed, meaning the moon spent a total of 3 hours and 54 minutes in the Earth's umbral shadow, according to NASA. To football now, reigning World Footballer of the Year Cristiano Ronaldo has agreed a $3.7 million fine with Spanish authorities that sees him avoid jail. The five-time World Player of the Year was charged with Spanish prosecutor last year for using shell companies outside Spain to hide his income from image rights. Ronaldo will still have to cough up close to $20 million in back taxes and interest. Ronaldo avoids jail after tax deal. Ronaldo to pay taxman over 20 million years. Staying with legal matters, the Court of Arbitration for Sport CAS has dismissed an appeal by former FIFA Secretary General Jerome Valcke. Valcke was banned for 10 years by the FIFA Ethics Committee in 2016 for irregularities over the sale of World Cup tickets and broadcast rights. Announcing his judgment, CAS ruled that the offences committed were of a serious offence and fully warranted the ban, as well as a fine of 100,000 Swiss francs. World Cup winning coach Luis Felipe Scolari has returned to club football after being appointed the manager of Brazilian side Palmeiras for a third time. The former Chelsea boss, who masterminded Brazil's World Cup triumph in 2002, has signed a 2-year contract with the 9-time Brazilian champions. The Olympic torch has been lit in the Argentinian capital of Buenos Aires, marking the formal countdown to the Youth Olympics, which will be held in October. The torch will begin a 2-month tour of Argentina from the first week of August.